to the Who's Right podcast. And what do you know? We won a series. How about that? But before we get into all that, um, subscribe to the channel, like this video, let us know how you're feeling. Are you feeling a little confident that now we took 2 out of 3 from the Angels? But Victor, how you doing?
Listen, I can't be too confident in these Mets, man. It's we win a couple of games, but they got to do a lot more for me to build my hopes up. And I know that's terrible, but from this season that we've had so far, this past week, it ended on a high note, but it still was an ugly week. We still lost the series in this week, and we finished off a horrible homestand, and then come over to LA and hopefully rewrite the ship. The calendar turned to May, and so I'm hoping maybe we can look forward to talking about some good things because today, all things considered, was a good day in Metsland.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a good day, good series win. Obviously, we're not going to get the stench off until we get a solid winning streak going. And so every time we lose a game, we're going to feel bad about it until we get like 4 or 5, on our belts in a row. So it is what it is. This is the the state of New York baseball right now, or Mets baseball right now. And until we get that winning streak, we're not going to feel a little different. But let's recap the week. Obviously, we played our first divisional game series, and that was it because then they sent us West Coast to the West Coast again. So we only got to play the Nationals, and we came to play the Angels. And that national series was kind of a disaster, but not more so highlighted than Mendoza pinch hitting for MJ Melendez, and that's kind of where I want to sit with that series recap. Is that pinch hit um, for MJ Melendez for a quote unquote lefty killer. It just goes to just the analytical stuff that you mean have a feel for the game. Yeah, at least once in a while. Use analytics, of course, but have a feel for the game. This guy gave you a 3-run homer in that game, and because he's facing a lefty, all of a sudden you want to pinch it for him. I just don't get it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, this is kind of the culture that David Stern has created here in New York. We're very StatCast era minded with the guys that he's rolled out into this coaching staff, and um, that's just what David Stearns wants. So that's even more reason why we heard on Friday that Carlos Mendoza is here to stay. He's making all the decisions that David Stearns wants him to make. He's using every piece that David Stearns puts out there, and so to me, it's who do you blame more? The guy that is given the chips, or sorry, the guy that is just using what he has, or the guy that has given him what he has. And he the roster that's constructed right now, Carlos Mendoza is using what he has, and I can't believe I'm defending him here, but it's a situation where it's a big spot in the game. Yes, MJ Melendez is has been a great player for us, at least when he's facing righties, but he hasn't proven himself against lefties yet, and so in a big spot when you're trying to get yourself out of a hole, I understand pinch hitting there. Um, the one that got me, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Angel series, but the one was that got me was the one yesterday, or game one, where no, maybe it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday when you had an opportunity to pinch hit, and instead of sending up Mark Vientos, you said send up Austin Schlater, and so that's the one that got me. National Series, I kind of want to dump that down the drain because there was only one bright spot, and that's that the Mets scored 7 runs in 1 inning, and that's all we got out of that series. But um, we hope that the offense can come alive and build off of that. Bo Bichette looks comfortable hitting number one right now, so it makes you ask the question: does he stay there when Lindor comes back, and Lindor just goes down to three? Um, all questions for the future. But so far, that's been my biggest bright spot in out of that series is I like Bo Bichette batting before Juan Soto. I think he has some confidence, he has some opportunities, and he leads the team in RBIs, and so um, maybe that's the spot for him. But yeah, Carlos Mendoza, um, he had some questionable decisions, but again, it might just be the roster that he was given.
Yeah, no, and for me, it's not questions about the roster. It's about the in game stuff. So that MJ Melendez thing is an in game stuff. But we can continue that conversation once we get to the concerns. Let's get into the Angels series. Obviously, series win for the Mets. Um, Man, Clay Holmes is in the house. What about Clay Holmes? I mean, we could have had a sweep out of this series. A couple things happened in Game Two, not challenging uh, the first run of the game. Obviously, the guy got tagged out, made the third out before the Angels scored, and Mendoza not challenging. Obviously, they missed it. Mendoza said they missed it, but we could have had a sweep of this series. But Clay Holmes shuts it down, and almost another 7 innings. 6 and 2/3, and it's just amazing. This guy's about to get paid, right? And this is one of those guys that Stearns took a flyer on, and it's paid off. One of the few guys that Stearns has had it pay off for, and that's Clay Holmes, your guy.
Yeah, and I hate to trash on Stearns, but you throw stuff against the wall, and sometimes things stick, right? And that's what happened with Clay Holmes this time with this signing here. He's been, lights out. Um, it's been amazing to see him pitch. It makes me nervous to see when he's pitching so well, if he's ever gonna get hit that wall. But he hasn't seemed to let up. Last year he had a good year, and then he was pitching almost double the innings that he had, and now this year he's more comfortable. He's gonna even push that envelope a little further, and he's just a reliable guy that can get outs. The strikeouts obviously aren't there, but when you can put the ball in play on the ground, that's even with soft contact, you're going to get far into games. And he's been able to save the bullpen because the bullpen needed it this time. They needed Clay Holmes to have a good start after Nolan McLean only going 4 innings the night before yesterday, and us having to use Tobias Myers and Brazaban and AJ or not AJ Minter, Craig Kimbrell in those spots, and uh, Luke Weaver and and Devin Williams pitching the night before that, and so the bullpen was pretty thin, and for Clay Holmes to be able to just pass the ball off to a couple of guys is was awesome to see. And the other guy I'd like to highlight while we're on the pitching side is Christian Scott. Christian Scott threw 75 pitches through 5 innings, and he looked really good after his first start of walking 5 guys in that first 2 innings. He didn't walk anybody in this game. He obviously had that pitch that hit by, or he hit Neto in that spot. He came around to score, but that was like the only, besides the Soler home run, that was the two bad pitches that he made. Other than that, he looked like a real starter in the league, and this is what I was excited for when I heard that he was coming off of Tommy John, is because I think he can be one of those guys that goes deep into the games that gets the ball every fifth day and just pitches. and he was able to do that this time around. And so it was good to see him build off of the start that he had, and hopefully, and I think he's warranted another start, and I hope that we can continue to see him to build.
Yeah, no, and like I said in the previous podcast, I knew that it was just nerves because Scott's a pitcher that's pitched in the league before. He just had an injury, and so I wasn't worried about him coming back and pitching well. That whole sending him down was clearly because he only pitched an inning in the third or whatever it was, and our bullpen got worn out, and we needed some pitching. That's literally the reason why he got sent down. It's not because they weren't going to give him another shot. It was just because he was so amped up, he lost all control of his pitches and walked the world for a couple innings. And so I'm glad that his second start came on the road where he doesn't have to worry about the home crowd. He just gets to pitch, and we saw what he's capable of. And he's going to be here for. I think he's going to stay. I don't think he's going anywhere because at this point, who knows if Senga's even coming back? We'll see how he turns out. After hitting the IL, but I don't. Even if he does come back, does he come back to the bullpen? Because Christian Scott, I don't think is going to give up this spot. And as you heard in the broadcast yesterday, Peterson might be on his way out of the rotation because they're trying to stretch out Tobias Myers. So those things might be happening sooner than later. Obviously Peterson's going to get the ball tomorrow against the Rockies, but if he has another bad outing, I could see them stretch out Tobias Myers and be that guy. And so we could see Tobias Myers and Christian Scott. We thought we were going to see them a little bit later in the season, but because of the crazy miserable start that we've had, we're actually seeing those guys a little bit earlier than expected.
Yeah, and even if David Peterson, we'll talk about this on the recap next week, but even if David Peterson has a good start, or a decent start, I don't want to say because if he pitches a no hitter, then he obviously is getting another turn in the rotation. But even if he has a decent start, I think Tobias Myers has proven, time after time that he is that guy, and he's able to pitch and pitched well, and so I think he's warranted a start. I think David Peterson and him should just switch roles. We need another lefty in the bullpen for sure. We only have Brooks Raley right now until AJ Minter comes back, and so that might be the best case scenario kind of thing. But you hinted at it with Senga, and so I'll take this opportunity to talk about some more of the injuries, but the Senga going down might have been the best thing for this rotation, and he's going to have a couple of months to recover and come back to be the pitcher that he was his rookie season. And if he's not, then at that point, you might just have to, either send him down or cut your losses because you can't afford to have this other guy or another starter that's just going 2 innings for you. That's just not going to work with this team how it's constructed right now. We saw the effects of that in this past series where you pitch Manaya one day and then you pitch Tobias Myers the next day, and uh, it's just that you don't have a lot of relievers to work with, and so uh, and that's the other thing that we'll talk about too during our concerns is Sean Mania might need to take some time to gather himself before we see him out again because he just doesn't seem like he has his stuff. But uh, as we're still recapping this series, I'll transition into the hitting portion of this. The bats looked like they were waking up a little bit. Obviously Mark Vientos had that big hit, or those two home runs today. Jim Melendez looks like he's forming into his own, and making a place in this team. And then we were talking about Beatty last week, but Beatty got on base 3 times today, and he's going to be playing a lot more third base now that Ronnie Mauricio is down. And so this is an opportunity that Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty have to take and run with it, and hopefully they do just that.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's pretty much it with the recaps. Mark Vantos had a good game. Obviously, 2 home runs today. Brett Beatty on base 3 times. Carson Bench on base 3 times today. Overall, it was a overall good game for everybody, except for Marcus Simeon and even Soto. Soto had a rough day, but he's a guy that. I'm not too worried about because even when he's slumping, he's going to find a way to produce, get on base regardless because that's the type of guy he is. So right now, let's just transition into the concerns. You know, the concerns is our depth right now, our infield depth. We lost Lindor, and we thought Mauricio was going to get the shot for a long time, and now he has a broken thumb, and this was I don't know if this is just going to be, what happens to Mauricio every time he gets a shot. He seems to get injured. I don't know if that's what's going to happen with Mauricio. And I'll just name out the other concern I have is Francisco Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez, um, if he's not hitting, he's not a great defensive catcher, and with Terens getting that extension, 2-year extension, getting paid more than any other backup catcher in the league, is Alvarez's time as starting catcher going to start to dwindle in the next few weeks if he doesn't start producing from the offensive side?
Yeah, I'm gonna, hold your horses there. I'm gonna push back on that. Francisco Alvarez isn't toast yet. Obviously, he's been slumping a little bit, but not even that much. He's still um, got one of the better averages on the team. Not saying much. He's got one of the better OPSs on the team. Still not saying much, and he is holding his own back there. I like the way he calls games, the way that he takes control of the games, and really is a captain on this team, or not a captain, but just a leader on this team. And really, he is a streaky hitter. We know that, and I think we see even when he is this bad, he still pulls up and uh, finds ways to contribute. And he did that. He had his lone moments. He had an RBI yesterday, and and so he's not a huge concern for me. The Like you said, the concern for me is the infield depth, the just organizational depth in general, because it doesn't seem like Davis Stearns was is willing to bring in some of the young guys to have an opportunity that are already on the 40-man roster, or that you might need to make room for. And I talked on last week's show about how I wasn't ready for AJ Ewing, but seeing how he's turning the cover off the ball, I think it might just be time. And the fact that they called up Vidal Brujan today instead of bringing him up, or Ryan Clifford, just shows you that what they value. And um, they either don't want to bring him up because they want him to develop some more, which how much more can he develop at AAA when he's tearing the cover off the ball? And two, they value more of the defense. And AJ Ewing, although he'd be a great outfielder for us, and in addition, he doesn't play the infield except for second base. And so I think they want a backup shortstop for real, and that's the reason that they did that. Um, Even though you got Marcus Simeon and Bo Bichette that can both play the position, and if you really wanted to, you could teach Brett Beatty how to play the position as well. But yeah, that's my concern, is just the organizational depth. And then I talked about it a little bit as well with the pitching side of things, and how that depth is kind of not a pretty sight to see when you have Sean Mania going out there, not even touching 89 on his fastball, and you have to keep him on the roster for some reason, because you don't want to dump, you know, $44 million or whatever he's getting paid in the next couple of years. And so That kind of concerns me because you can only do so much when you throw these guys out there and they're getting the break speed off of them and don't keep you into games and make it uncompetitive. That's what happened in the national series, and so I'm hoping that that's not the case all year and that we can have these guys pitch a little better. So I can sit here and just shut up.
Yeah, no, hopefully they do that, that we can not have this segment of the podcast be so long. But yeah, obviously AJ Ewing, I was excited to, I was talking about bringing him up last week, but at the end of the day, I think you're right on this. It's more that he just got to AAA. We have enough outfielders, right? They're going to give Benj, the leash as much as possible, and they're not going to give up on Robert just yet. Um, who knows if this injury was a contributing factor, because Robert started, or Robert started the season off, having more takes a little bit, and with Robert the throws were off too. So who knows if this is all a contributing factor to how he, why he landed on the IL. And so they're going to give him a shot. So they're not going to bring up AJ Ewing. The biggest question is from the outfield is, um, why didn't they bring up Morabito, and gave him a shot to play the outfield? Because Taylor is what he is. He's a fourth outfielder. I love Taylor to death, but I love him as a fourth outfielder. Not a guy that I want to see every day, because he's just not that guy. And the question is, why didn't Morabito come up here? He's been at AAA all year, and he plays center field, so it would have been a perfect fit. But I digress. I'm concerned about Alvarez. So I'm put that out there. I don't know. Because that defense from Alvarez looked horrible yesterday, and it cost McLean a run. Right? If he didn't get let go of that pass ball, it would have been just 2 runs. You know, actually, if Mendoza challenges the call in the first inning, it would have been only 1 run that McLean gives up. And so one on Mendoza, one of those 3 runs is on Mendoza for not challenging the call in the first inning. And the other run is on um, Alvarez, for letting that pass ball, go. And McLean's streak of not giving up more than 3 runs before the fifth and sixth would have been intact. And obviously McLean didn't have it yesterday. So at the end of the day, we may be crying over spilled milk here, but it cost us the game. It cost us a serious sweep. And with my other concern is the in-game managing of the team right now. And I was a big defender of Mendoza, so that it's not on him. But 2 times this week, maybe 3 times if you want to count today's play with Soto in the first inning. I think it was the first inning where, oh no, it wasn't the first inning. It was Soto's second at bat, where he hits it to first base, and Schwamio couldn't get it out of his glove, and he threw the glove to first base, and the first baseman bobbled it. Well, that would have been first and second if we challenged that call today. So between the call today, the call yesterday, and pinch hitting for MJ Melendez, because the lefty's on the mound, I'm starting to question Mendoza a little bit, because these are well in his control, things that he could have done. Right? Obviously, the replay against McLean the first inning, it's on the replay booth, but you saw everybody saying this guy juggled the ball. Why are we holding on to these replays? I don't understand Why or these challenges? For someone that has watched football for forever, keeping those challenges in your pocket are a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? And so, 2 games in a row, we haven't used the challenge, so we wasted the challenges because they stayed in our pocket. And to me, right now, a big concern is Mendoza, and I know his job is safe because that's what they said. Um, but things can change in a dime. He keeps having these misplays. Um, his job can go as quickly as they reassured it. And so, another concern for me is Carlos Mendoza's and his in-game management.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just not going to put in that much energy into Carlos Mendoza because even though you said that that decision could flip on a dime, at this point with the organization and what Davis Stearns has said, it really doesn't seem like his job is in jeopardy at all, and he can really do whatever he wants. And so I'm not gonna. I agree with everything you just said. The decision to pinch hit, the challenges, the bullpen usage has all been questionable. But at the end of the day, his job is safe at least until the end of the year. And so I'm not going to put too much concern into that right now. But my concern is obviously going to stick with the pitching and the bats because that's all I could that's all they can control right now as contributors. And so as long as the pitching continues to perform and our bullpen has looked like it's been pretty steadied. Devin Williams looked like he got his swagger back last night, and Luke Weaver, even though uh, he's a streaky uh, pitcher. He has his nights where he's off, and then he has a night where he looks like lights out, and so excited if they can keep it going, and if our bats can produce while all these injuries are taking place, then that's gonna mean so much more for our organizational debt. The concern that I just talked about. So if these guys can hit like they did today and yesterday, or in a couple of days ago, because yesterday it was still a pretty bad game, but if they can hit, then our organizational depth is going to be a thing of the past when these guys come back from injury.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. And so, let's transition into the who's right part of the podcast. And just to recap, for everybody here, Victor chose Bo and Freddie. Now I know why he was fighting for Bo so hard. And I chose Soto and Holmes. And obviously, the hitting side was up and down, right? We had a good game in the Washington series and a couple good games here, but different guys contributed. So no real standout. We were kind of contemplating MJ Melendez in the Washington series, and even this series a little bit, and or Vientos because of big game today, and Bo. We also kind of argued a little bit because he looks like he's starting to come out and actually be more consistent. But at the end of the day, nobody kind of flashed hard enough to earn that week offensive player of the week. So we're not going to give it to anybody this week. And on the pitching side, I mean, is there any doubt Clay Holmes is our new ace? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to say, but he's been the most consistent. And even through this malaise of baseball, he's still been consistent and given us 6 to 7 innings. And so, pitcher of the week. And I'm pulling up in front of Victor with a 2-1 year series lead here, and Clay Holmes is the pitcher of the week.
Yeah, I'll give you a head start on this one. I'll pull a Mets on this one and let you get ahead and put myself in a hole, and then you're gonna think that it's unsurmountable, and then I'm just gonna come back and win a World Series, and that's what the Mets are gonna do this year, and that's what I'll do too. But it was awesome to see Clay Holmes continue to build like we talked about. Um, obviously Freddie had that bad play that puts a stain on his outing, and so I can't give it to him this time. And Bo Bichette, like I said, I like him in the one hole. I think he's been producing really well. It scares me that he's gonna have to transition back to shortstop because I feel like that could take an effect on his bat, but hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully the consistency batting number one will keep his bat consistent. And so, point to you for the Clay Holmes pick, and let's see how this next week plays out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so let's transition into previewing the next series. Obviously, we talked about Colorado a couple just a week ago. So uh, and after they swept us, now they've lost 4 out of 5, I think, this week or something like that. So it's a team. I hate to say it, that we can beat. And so I know that Victor doesn't like that saying, but I mean, it is. And even without Lindor or Mauricio in the lineup, this is a team that we could score runs on, and this is a team that has less pitching than the Angels do. It's a series that we can win, and then we see we at the weekend series is against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and can we pay them back for what they did to us in early April? So let's see. Let's see what we can do. I'm not going to break them down because we just saw Colorado, and actually a few weeks ago we saw Arizona, and so to me, it's just payback. Let's keep this winning streak going, and let's see what happens. To me, the biggest thing that I want to see is Peterson going to stay in the rotation or not? Because Mendoza came out and said that they most likely will have an opener. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, the game tomorrow got pushed up to 5:40 because of the snowy weather that's coming to Colorado. And so they moved the game up to 5:40 for all those that are watching the pod. Um, Tomorrow's game, Monday's game, is at 5:40 Eastern time. So they moved up the game because guess what? It's cold over there in Colorado, even though it's May. But yeah, to me, I want to see if Peterson stays in the rotation. His outing tomorrow is going to tell us a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna. Um, don't get your hopes up, man. That's all I'll say. But what for me, what's gonna happen this week is that the bats are gonna come alive. They talked about it a lot, maybe on the broadcast, but a few different Mets fans have talked about it a lot. Where Coors Field and um, where the Diamondbacks play. I think they changed their park name um, from Chase Field, right? But um, they're both places where you can hit, and so this is where the bats can come alive. And we talked about how they were looking really good this past series, and let's hope that they can continue to build off of that. We'll see some more consistent playing time, hopefully, with Brett Beatty playing every day third base for the most part. If I see Mark Vientos at third base, I might flip out and I might just start watching games. But um, that's not true. I'll still watch him. But MJ Melendez might share that role with him with Mark Vientos at first base, and those are both guys that have carry a lot of power and can be contributors this week. And so let's hope that these guys can come alive and build off of their series win this past weekend.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Vientos' defense and our concerns, and between the play yesterday, the line drive that he didn't catch, and the way he went about um, the bounce ball from Bichette today. Man, is he a bad fielder? he's lucky he hit two home runs today. If not, we'd be talking about that today. But I digress. Let's get into the players of the week, because you know, um, you know, yeah. Let's just move into the players of the week. I'm not even gonna say what I was about to say. Um, so you go first with the hitters, I believe, and so I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen. You talk smack about my boy, and I'm a back him up. And so Francisco Alvarez is gonna come alive this week. You know, he's feeling the pressure from not only the big Torrens news, but from you Mets fans that doubt him and say that he's not the best. Well, guess what? He's got it tattooed on his neck. He's the best catcher in the game, and he's gonna come alive this week at Coors and at Chase Field.
Okay, there's not much I can say there. I hope so because honestly, the only reason he's a starting catcher right now is because of his potential on offense. Right? Terens is a much better defensive catcher, and obviously he's not a great hitter. He proved that today. It's not a Terens. We didn't sign him because of his hitting ability. We signed him because he's a really good defensive catcher. And so I think if it wasn't for all the hitting woes that we've had, you know, his defense and his lack of hitting might be into question. But what I will say is I hope you're right because I want Alvarez to hit. And so I'm not going to knock it too much as I just knocked it a bunch. But I do want him to hit. So I let's hope he hits. That's just what I'm that's it. So the player for me, I'm going to go with Bo Bichette, right? I think you picked him a week too early. I think he's starting to peak, and so my guy is going to be Bo Bichette.
Hey, listen, like I said, you dial him, you trash him. That's just fuel to the fire. So Francisco Alvarez is going to prove you wrong this week. And like we always say on this podcast, we're not going to trash any of our guys and want them to fail. And so I like I talked about earlier, Bo Bichette has proven to be a great guy on the, or a great leadoff hitter. And let's just hope that he's not slowed down by the transition back to shortstop.
Yeah, I hope not. But it's okay. And let's go into the pitcher of the week. Pitcher of the week. I'm going to go back to an oldie but a goodie of this young season. I'm going to go back to McLean. I think he's going to come out really pissed off that he got uh, only through 4 innings this past outing, and you're going to see some of his best stuff this coming up. This series coming up.
Not a bad pick. You know, Noel McLean. I do agree with you. I think he's pissed about this last start that he had, where he only went 4 innings. Uh, he probably thinks that Mendoza pulled the plug too early, and so he might go out there and pitch seven because he's so angry, maybe eight, and so I hope that is the case. Um, I'm not going to go back to Freddie. How much, even though I really want to, and want him to shake that reputation of being a five inning Freddie, even though he went six this past week. But I'm gonna go with Christian Scott. Christian Scott
Ooh.
is just continuing to build off of his starts, and it's a tricky start to make because, or a tricky place to go because I think he's going to line up to be that last game of the Colorado series, and he's more of a fly ball pitcher, and so that could be dangerous in Colorado. But I think that that's going to be he's going to continue to build, and I hope that he solidifies his place in the rotation.
Yeah, no, I think he will. I think he's going to come out and continue to produce. I think he could be a solid middle of the rotation guy for us. now that he's got given the chance to start it off. So not a bad pick by you. You know, I thought you were going to go with Holmes because of this week, but yeah, I like your pick. And I like Scott. I thought he was going to come on the rotation eventually this year. Didn't expect it this early, but now that we have him this early, you know he's going to stay here. He's here to stay. So I like your pick. So let's. Hey, I, I'm not asking for much. Let's win each series, right? Let's go for 4-2 this weekend, and I'll be happy. I'm not looking for a 5 game winning streak or whatever, or a 6 game winning streak. I just want you to start winning series. We'll get hot and 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 go on a long run eventually, but we can start slow. Let's win some series. And before we get out of here, subscribe to the channel, like this video, in the comments, in on replay. Let us know how you're feeling. Are you still down on the Mets? Are you down on Mendoza? Are you down on Stearns? Are you down on just what we have so far, the players, whatever? Let us know how you're feeling. Victor, any last words?
Yeah, listen, I know it seems doom and gloom because it is. Everyone has cast off our season as being dead this past week, but I'm going to give you guys some positivity. Let's go out, like you said, win some series, and there's 120 games left in the season. And so we have a lot of baseball left to play. If we win every series from here on out, we're going to be sitting in a good spot at the end of the year. We're going to be talking about how this, below 500 team went to being, an 89 win baseball team. And that's going to be a great spot to be in. And so let's hope that they do continue to build off of this, not stomp on all of our hopes and dreams. But I am confident that they can build off of this momentum that they have here, and then yeah, when these guys are hot, be careful because I think that they can pull together some wins. So let's go Mets.
Let's go, Mets.